Well, I told you that it has been revealed to me that there is a new, and we'll find out how new, party in the Israeli governmental system. It's called Hatzibur-Haharedi. And from what we're told, this party is trying very hard to make a very big difference in Israel. And believe you me, there's a lot of work to be done in terms of bridging the gap between different groups in the Holy Land. Rav Yehoshua Pfeffer is with us live via telephone. He's Rabbi of Or Chadash in Ramot Bet Yerushalayim. He is a Talmud of Rav Asher Weiss, who, of course, we've spoken about many times on this show. He has served in the past on his Beis Din and taught at a number of yeshivot. Alongside rabbinic duties, he heads the Iyun Institute, which operates a range of groundbreaking leadership programs and publications in the Charedi community, focusing on the crucial issue of broader Charedi responsibility for Israel. He's the founding editor of the Tzarich Iyun journal and serves on the executive board of Netzach Yehuda, supporting Charedi soldiers in the IDF. He's also a professor at the Hebrew U at the law school, having previously clerked at Israel's Supreme Court. He lives in Yerushalayim. He's with us live via telephone. Rav Yehoshua Pfeffer, a pleasure to welcome you to JM and the AM.
Hi, Nachum. Very good to be on, and good morning to all your listeners.
Appreciate that very much. So how old is Hatzibur-Haharedi? When was this party actually founded?
This party was founded approximately a month ago, I would say, maybe a month and a half, and it still hasn't been formally launched. I think the formal launch is going to take place sometime beginning of next week. Don't forget, the elections are coming up on October 27th.
Yeah.
And the final date to register the parties, meaning to register the party platforms and the lineups, is September 7th. So everything is happening now. All the parties are registering now. They want to know by September 7th what the polling says, what their chances are. Do they need to unite with some other party to form a technical bloc? And all the other questions that are relevant. And therefore, this is happening now. But this is it's very new. It's a new Charedi political party, and this is not something that's been tried in the last, 5 decades. We've had 3 Charedi parties, the Sfardim, the Hasidim, the Litvaks, and this is something new.
We'll explore that in a moment. First, tell everybody who's the actual leader of the party and what is your role? What is your title, your responsibility in the party?
So the chairman of the party, he's the number 1 on the slate, is somebody called Marty Leitner. Marty Leitner is a wonderful young man who opened a political municipal party in the city of Beit Shemesh. He did that approximately 3 years ago or so, maybe a little bit less than that, and had significant success. He was able to win 2 seats in the municipal election on this ticket, meaning on a ticket of being an alternative to the regular Charedi party, the ticket that speaks about greater responsibility, greater engagement, greater participation in Israel. Of course, municipal is different from national, but he had great success in Beit Shemesh, and now he's moving to the national arena, and he's a Talmud of mine, meaning he studied a lot under me. I ran a bunch of programs at my Iyun Institute. He was a participant in those programs. He still participates today, and I'm a little bit more, senior in age and also in a kind of rabbinic position. So right now, I am chairing the rabbinic committee. Of course, you need rabbanim to give you support. I'm chairing the rabbinic committee, but there's also a chance that I'm going to run on the slate because I also feel that this is a tremendous opportunity to realize a lot of the values, a lot of the ideas that I teach on our programs. Well, sometimes you have to put your money where your mouth is. You have to put your body, yourself, your all where your mouth is, and to go in and try to make a real difference. And so I could be pretty deeply involved over here.
Rav Yehoshua Pfeffer is with us, Hatzibur-Haharedi. They have till September the 7th to file officially to be in this upcoming election at the end of October. So You said this hasn't really been tried for the last 5+ decades, and we understand what you mean by that. I assume what you mean by that is that the parties that are in existence have not really addressed in the way you would advise them to address the issues that divide the Charedi community and the Charedi community with other communities. Would that be accurate, that this is that now today there's a real necessity for it, where previously it may not have been as an acute necessity?
Absolutely. I mean, this is new for, I would say, two significant reasons. One reason is that this is a united Charedi party. This is not sectorial in the sense of we're the Sfadim, we're the Litvish, we're the Chassidim. This is a united Charedi party, and that's why it's called Hatzibur-Haharedi. This is a Charedi public. It includes everyone. But on a deeper and perhaps more urgent level, what it says is that we're not about them and us. The classic Charedi parties are there in government in order to siphon off whatever they can for the Charedi local needs, whether it's the yeshivas, the institutions, the housing, the communities, whatever it is. And we're saying, yes, there are urgent needs in the Charedi space, but we're going to be able to realize, we're going to be able to meet those needs through partnership. We are too large to be this minority community that only thinks about itself. We need to have a broader picture of ourselves as a part of Israel. You can't isolate from yourself. If we're not in the IDF, we don't have an IDF. If we're not part of the economy, we don't have an economy. And we need this. We need this to discharge our own responsibilities and also to enable our own constituencies to have the dignity of going to work, of being self-reliant.
Right.
And indeed, of participating in the IDF. Certainly, thousands and thousands of boys who are not in full-time tourist study. There's no moral excuse. And it would just be good for them. It would be good for us. And it's essential to heal the fabric of the state of Israel, which is being torn asunder because of the refusal of the classic Charedi parties to even engage on these issues.
So, Rabbi Pfeffer, you know obviously that the majority of people here and listening to us no doubt agree with you. But in order to implement or to head in a positive direction with what you just described, especially when it comes to the army and self-sufficiently, meaning the workforce, etc., wouldn't you need the cooperation of an overwhelming majority of rabbinic leaders in the Charedi space in Israel to make that happen? And we know that the majority of them, of course, are not cooperative generally when it comes to these issues.
Yes, so a couple of points on this. Very good question. First of all, it is a very fascinating statistic that over the last couple of decades, the Charedi political parties have not grown in their share of the Knesset seats, even though they've grown tremendously in terms of the share of the population. The Charedi demographic has grown a lot, but they haven't grown in terms of the Knesset seats. And that demonstrates that there are tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands probably, of Charedi voters who are disillusioned, who are not voting for the classic Charedi parties, and it's because of this, because they feel that they're not receiving the kind of response, the kind of representation that they're looking for. And that's despite the Rabbanim. So you see that there's a tremendous number of Charedim out there who are looking for something else. That's on the one hand. And on the other hand, there are many Rabbanim who are absolutely on board with this. They're not so vocal because there's a lot of fear going on among Rabbanim too, of the repercussions, of being sidelined, of being attacked, of being vilified. And unfortunately, these things happen. The extremists often have the upper hand, but we speak to them. We know that in private, there's tremendous rabbinic support for this too. And we think that a lot of Charedi individuals and families, they know this. Everybody knows this. And therefore, this is a real opportunity. We're post-October 7th. We cannot continue on pretending that nothing's happened, that we're the same as before. We can just participate in order to feed our own back garden, to water our back garden, and, Israel will be okay. No, it won't. We all need to be in this together. And, of course, in an atmosphere, in an environment that respects the differences. Sure, we have to maintain, we have to preserve the Haredi way of life, its special culture, its special religious sensitivities. But we need the government to be there and to demand from the army, you guys have to get your act in order to make sure that we have these accommodations for the Haredi.
Well,
the difference it would make.
Look,
if the Haredi Knesset members would care about this, it would make a huge difference.
No, I get it. And you're on the executive board of Netzach Yehuda. You could speak from personal experience that when a reasonable request is made, generally down the road, the accommodation is implemented. Would that be accurate?
Well, I can tell you that since October 7th, there's been a tremendous change in terms of the Army's willingness and ability to accommodate Haredi soldiers. There have been several new tailored programs for Haredi soldiers. Some of them are very successful. In many of them, I just spoke to a mother. I'm a community rabbi, and one of the families in my community, so their son is in one of these Haredi units, and she told me, amazing, like he went to the army, all of a sudden, he's davening 3 tefillos a day. He has learning time in the base medrash every day. For the couple of months he's been in the IDF, not a girl in sight, no female officers or soldiers. And that's new. The army didn't used to respect their own regulations vis-a-vis the Haredim. That's new. But there's still pitfalls. There's still things that go wrong. If we have government support, it would be a different ball game altogether.
Let me ask you, and I'm not trying to be negative at all, but I literally got back very late last night from Israel. I saw a lot of things with my own eyes, even though I was only there a couple of days. And one of them, frankly, is the protest that closed the roads. And I would have to assume that you're against that. But, when you talk about rabbinic leaders who are silent, and a silence that it sounds like you understand, and they're not very vocal, and again, something which you can excuse, and I understand that. I'm not questioning you on that. But wouldn't it be a good idea for the rabbinic leaders and others in position of authority to come out against those type of demonstrations? And just like we are sitting here saying the worst thing and we're pro-army. My son just finished the army last week. So when we're sitting here saying the worst thing the Israeli government has done is arrest boys for being draft dodgers. That's the worst strategy, we believe. Don't you believe from the other side that the worst strategy that the Haredim have displayed has been these hafganot, these demonstrations which close roads all over Israel?
Yes, I agree with you. These demonstrations are not doing us a service. They're doing us a great disservice, and a lot of Chilul Hashem has emerged from these hafganot, from these demonstrations. The trouble for the Rabbanim is that they don't have an alternative. How do you deal with this situation? It's an untenable situation for whoever's fault, and we could definitely play blame games, and both sides have some blame. Let's not excuse anybody. But for whoever's fault, there's no law. There's no law that arranges for yeshiva guys to have exemptions from army service, meaning yeshiva guys, tens of thousands of them, become illegal. Now that itself is an almost unspeakable fact of what's going on in Israel today. Can you just imagine this in America? You have these tens of thousands of young men who are illegals. They can't leave the country. Just in the last week, I just saw a statistic, something like 1,500 boys were stopped at Ben Gurion Airport. They were trying to get out with their families for their family vacation, and they were stopped because they are illegal. And the Rabbanim and the Afghanim and all of the Haredi kind of representatives, Rabbanim, whoever you want, they have nothing to do. They don't know what to do. And therefore, it's very hard for them to come out against the demonstrations when they're not offering any alternatives. And that's why these arrests and then the demonstrations are really playing into the hands of the extremists. They're taking us, unfortunately, steps back. Previously, after October 7th, there was a lot of hope out there because a lot of Haredim felt we need to be a part of this.
Okay. So, Rabbi Pfeffer, I'll give you that one. But I'll give you one that I think is completely unacceptable. And that is when there is an effort to promote the idea that because, and they say this, the rabbis themselves, will come to the United States saying that, there's a war on against Torah. That's the way they describe it, a war against Torah. We must come to cities and communities outside of Israel to raise money and secure the backbone of the yeshiva world existence in Israel, where we have no choice because this is the war that we're involved with. And on top of that, they don't seem to ever acknowledge that just like the Torah, understandably and certainly admittedly, protects the Jewish people to a certain degree and in a certain way, and nobody's denying that. We are all, Torah observant and Torah lovers. They'll never acknowledge the fact that there's Torah being studied even by those who are on the front lines on a regular basis, and for some reason, when it comes to their Torah, it doesn't seem to count in the defense of Israel. So what is your response to that?
Nachum, do you know what the word Charedi means? What does it mean to be Chared?
To shake in fear.
To be Chared.
To shake in fear, right?
Yes, to be a trembler, to be anxious, anxiety, fear. The Rabbanim and the Charedi establishment is in a state of fear. And when you live in that state of anxiety, this is what happens. And you're absolutely right. What we need is to project a voice of unity. We need to project the voice first and foremost of Hakaras HaTov. How can we not have that basic sense of gratitude to the soldiers who are protecting our yeshivas and enabling us to study Torah? Let's begin from there. How can we not think of the state of Israel in terms of the country that supported, enabled, and empowered the greatest Torah center in the history of the Jewish people? That's where we need to begin from. But when you're in a state of anxiety, a state of constant fear, what's going to happen? Then this is what begins to go wrong. And that's why we need an alternative. Israel is thirsty. It's desperate for hope. That's why I'm getting involved in a political party that I would never have dreamed in all of my life hitherto to get involved in politics. It's not my thing. But I realize that this is an emergency state. It's a state of emergency. We need to give hope to the people of Israel, to the Haredim, to the non-Haredim, that we can do better, that we can work together, that we can be partners, that we can be engaged in the critical issues that face the Jewish people and the state of Israel, and we can do it together. And unfortunately, the existing parties, that's not their language. They don't know that language. We need that new language, and we have to project it from wherever we can. And what can we do? The political arena is an arena that matters. The voices projected in that arena are the ones that actually make all the difference. And that's why I'm getting involved in this.
Right. The same way that when it came time to arrange for some type of formal arrangement for the Charedi boys to go to the army, the leadership did what you're doing. They went ahead and cooperated with the army and displayed an air of togetherness, even though they were criticized like crazy and had to survive a lot of difficult things that were said and done to them. And I'm sure you know that you are in a
absolutely. Listen, where did there's such a thing called the Peleg Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem faction. Those are the guys that are often leading the demonstrations against Israel, against the army, and so on. And unfortunately, they're being joined by a lot of the regular guys also. But how did the Peleg Yerushalmi start? Well, it started because Rav Aaron Leib Steinman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, he endorsed Netzach Yehuda. He said, yes, there's a need for an army Haredi framework for those guys that need it. And because he was, at the very least, gave his consent, tacit consent, explicit consent, however it was given, that's how these extremists actually got started. They said, okay, this is not our rabbi. If he's going to endorse going to the army for Haredim, and these are guys that were on the streets. These are guys that were dropping out. They didn't have any hope. They were non-functional. And he said, yeah, the army's going to make them functional, which it does in a wonderful way. And for that's how the Peleg Yerushalmi started. So yes, whenever you try to do something good, there will be consequences. You will pay a price. That's our world. You want to promote the good, there's going to be people who will object. There are going to be people who will rally against you. You'll pay prices for it. And that's true for Rabbanim. It's true, Nachum, for you. It's true for all of us. But we have to try to do the good. B'tach b'Hashem. We trust Hashem that He supports the good. V'asei tov. And you do what you can.
Look, I obviously I asked you a lot of questions in this conversation, which might seem to think that I'm not as positive or as hopeful as you are, but I 100% support what you're doing and admire it. I really do hope that it will affect some change. I think, as we said during this conversation, I think there are some examples of people who've stepped into roles like this and have gotten some positive change. Maybe not 100% of the goal that they set, but, a significant amount of the goal. Is there anything we're allowed to do? You said that Hatzibur-Haharedi is already an established municipal party. In terms of it being a national party, it has until September the 7th to decide if, in fact, it and Matti Leitner will run as a party. You might actually be part of that party. That would have to be decided by September the 7th. Is there anything that Jews or those who care about Israel outside of Israel can do for you if we want to see your party flourish, or all we could do is wish you good luck?
Well, first of all, wishing good luck is good. We need tefillos. We need support, absolutely. But beyond tefillos, so absolutely, first of all, rabbanim, meaning we need rabbinic support, and rabbinic support can be from abroad, can be from here, whatever it is. We need to show that people are excited, that people support, that people understand that this is so, so necessary for our shared future of the Jewish people, living in Eretz Yisrael, and the Jewish people everywhere. This is essential. It's existential. It's a must. And so rabbinic support is important, and also general support. Every message of support that we get gives us, hope and confidence. Those who are Israelis that are able to vote, so we need your votes. And of course, there's also material support. Like every movement and like every party, we also need money. We need material support. So that there's plenty that can be done. If anyone wants to get in touch, very happy to share details. The party is called Hatzibur-Haharedi. It has a website that one can visit, and we're going live next week. It's going to be there'll be an official launch,
right?
And this is the time to get involved.
So I just asking the brass tacks question: if someone is outside of Israel and hits the donate button on the website, they're allowed to, in fact, donate to the cause.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure we're not putting anybody.
Rules, yes, every country, there's rules and regulations.
Right.
But everything that we're doing is in every single step of the way is in consultation with lawyers. I'm a lawyer myself by training. And you gotta play it by the book. I just want to make sure that people outside of Israel are allowed to do it. That's all. I don't want to mislead people. That's all. The website, folks, if you're interested in any of this, Hatzibur, HATZIBUR-Haharedi, HAHAREDI.org, Hatzibur-Haharedi.org, and obviously you could search that online. Didn't mean to interrupt you, Rabbi Pfeffer. You were saying? No, absolutely. I said you got it. I said this is not a steeple. This is we have to play by the book, where we have to do things, the right way, and we have to truly take feel the burden of tens and tens of thousands. And of course, to pass the threshold, you need more. You need like 100 and some thousand votes. It's not simple to pass the threshold here in Israel. Right. We feel that the brunt of that burden of responsibility, and halavai that we'll have the siyata d'shmaya, Hashem should be with us, that we'll be able to project the voice that will bring this coming together, that will bring hope to so many people. And if we can do this from the hallways of the Knesset, then should be all the better. Nutrition. And the rumors that you might align or merge with other parties at the moment is completely untrue, correct? Where did you hear those rumors from? But in all seriousness, tell me your sources. Tell me your sources. Well, you know the source. Untrue at the moment. untrue. We want to be a Charedi party because we feel that you have to be authentically Charedi, working from the inside to be able to make a difference.
Right.
The kind of to coerce change from the outside is doomed to fail. And by the way, everybody's tried it. The Likud tried it, Bennett tried it, Lapid tried it, everybody tried it, and it just didn't work. It's ineffective.
Yeah.
True social movement
right.
can only come from the inside. Sure, you need incentives.
Right.
I'm not arguing incentives are necessary, effective. I call it you need a little help from our friends, to use the expression. But the true motion, the social motion, has to come from the inside. And that's why it's important that we remain a Charedi party that's recognized as being Charedi, that's working from the inside to bring us hope and to bring Israel hope.
Doesn't always work, but if it's going to work, it will only work if it's done through the inside, as you just mentioned. Look, kol hakavod, Rabbi Pfeffer, that people like myself and others around the world who are of like mind really, really, really cheer you on and hope and wish and pray for your success. I'll take this opportunity to wish you a Shana Tova, and I hope that your efforts really become...
Thank you, Nachum. And, I'll mention we have a WhatsApp group with people mainly from America who are literally day in, day out trying to think, how can we help? How can we do more? Who can we introduce? What podcasts can we get onto? What shows? What exposure? How can we do things in Israel? Meaning there are people who are really, really dedicated, committed, and I'm blown away by that support. It's amazing, and the more the better. And believe me, we need it. It's going to be quite the journey.
Make sure that the archive of this conversation gets into that group. I hope they'll be inspired by it. Toda Rabba. Thank you so much, and kol hakavod, Rabbi Pfeffer.
Much appreciated, and ksiva v'chesima tova to you, to the listeners, to all the Jewish people.
Amen. Thank you so much. More coming up. It's Rav Yehoshua Pfeffer, everybody. The name of the party is Hatzibur-Haharedi. You're listening to JM in the AM.